Hi those fam, thank you so much for joining me for yet another video. Now today's video topic is a little bit heavy because we're going to be talking about mental health. We're going to be talking about depression and anxiety, and I'm going to be sharing with you some things that have helped me to cope throughout a season of depression, throughout an episode of anxiety. The things that I'm going to be sharing with you are not from a medical board. They're not from a medical fraternity. They're just my personal experiences. And they're just things that I've done and I've seen that they've worked over a period of time, or they've been helpful in some way or the other. And I just wanted to share this with you. Now, to be honest, before I started YouTube, I knew that when I started, mental health was going to be something I would discuss. Like, I always knew that. And even though that has always been the plan, like talking about mental health on my channel has always been the plan, even before starting the channel, sitting down to actually make this video was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. I have done this introduction about 15 times, and I don't know, maybe it's nervousness, or it's probably the fact that mental health is just not widely discussed in our culture. There isn't a safe space really, or there isn't enough safe spaces really to talk about mental health. And also because there's a stigma attached to mental health, and that's why you won't find your faves talking about mental health, even though a lot of people that you know that look super happy and they look like they're doing super well, they're depressed, a lot of them, or they struggle with anxiety, but they are afraid to talk about it. But I know that there are people out there going through this, especially with the last 2 years that we've had. And I said, you know what, Lacey, you gotta do it. So here it goes. Now, for some people, depression is seasonal. So it comes at a certain time of the year. Maybe that time of the year, a few years ago, they lost someone, and every year around that time, they just get really depressed. But for other people, depression can be more persistent, like it sticks with them for a much longer time. And that, you know, that's a more severe form of depression, and they call that clinical depression. And we're gonna talk about that. When I'm faced with something that's affecting me emotionally, like it's burdening my emotions, it's burdening my mind, I've been sad about it, it's affecting me, I create a safe space for myself and I cry. When I say that, I'm not telling you to get up every day and just walk around bawling. No, however, a lot of people are dealing with things that are affecting them emotionally, and they are yet to let that out. You're gonna need to empty yourself of what you're feeling. And if that means going inside of your room, if that means closing your doors, turning up some music or whatever it is, and just give yourself one good cry. Now, when I say one good cry, it doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, so after that one cry, I can't cry again. I'm not saying that, but that first cry, that first cry is going to really lighten you somewhat. It's going to really make you feel as if you've emptied yourself. Now, this is something that I've done for myself personally, and I understand that a lot of people are afraid to really just break down because they just don't feel like it's safe for them to break down. And maybe around other people, it is not safe. So create that safe space for yourself. When something is affecting me, I validate my feelings. I validate what I'm feeling, and I cry. One good proper cry. And then I try to implement the other things that I'm going to share with you. Stop trying to keep it in. Stop trying to have it all bottled up. It's not going to help you. It's not going to serve any purpose. That emotion, those emotions that you're trying so dear to hold on to, it is not going to help you. Let it out. The second thing I would encourage you to do is to take some time for yourself. Isolate. This is something that I have done. This is something that I have implemented whenever I'm dealing with something. I take some time for myself. I take some time to really process what is happening right now. Okay, I take that time of isolation to really sit with myself And there two things can happen when you isolate. You can use that isolation to reinforce your pain, to reinforce those doubts, to reinforce that sadness, to replay in your mind over and over and over again how hurtful what has happened has been. And in that case, what that's going to do is lengthen your episode of depression, and we don't want that. Here's what you can do though during isolation, during that time alone, that will help you. I use my isolation to reconnect with God. Because a lot of times when we're feeling weak, and I'm sorry if you don't want to hear about God, you might need to skip off this video right now. Sorry. So I use that time alone to talk to God, to just to go back to basics with him, to say, hey, I need your help, because this is really burdensome, this is really saddening, and this is really affecting me, and I need your help. If you think that you can go through this life alone and go through your seasons alone without God, then great. But if you are a believer of God, you know that you really cannot do that. You're gonna need to humble yourself. You're going to need to approach him and say, hey, I'm dealing with this right now, and I really need your help. I'm broken, I'm hurt, this person did this, and it's really tearing me apart. Talk to him, cry to him, just let it out with him. Reconnect. Read something from the Word of God. Google, what scriptures will help you with strength, and several scriptures will come up. And this is not a magic thing that's just going to magically make your depression go away. It will not. What it's going to do is just help you to ground yourself a little bit, help you to remember who is bigger, help you to remember that, okay, there's a bigger force. There's a force that is bigger than this thing that's happening with me right now. There's a force that is bigger than me, and that force is in favor of me. So reconnecting with God during your isolation time, it's going to ground you. It's just going to remind you of the promises that he made, of how much he said that you can overcome that thing or this thing that you're going through, right? Another thing that I use my isolation period to do is to introspect. Like, I use that time to look at myself, like really deeply, look at myself in detail. And what I mean by that is sometimes sadness, sometimes depression is born from an error that we think we made. Like, we made a bad decision and we're dealing with the circumstances from that decision, and the circumstances from that depression, from that situation or decision we made, is sadness, it's depression, it's worry. So if the depressive episode I'm in, it is coming from a decision that I made, I take that isolation time to look at me. And this is difficult to do, because when you take some time and look at yourself and the decisions you've made, you might not be pleased with what you see. I'm sorry, but you're gonna need to face yourself, ask yourself, what was it about me that made me make that decision? What was it about me that made me choose that person? What was it about me that made me go in that direction? So sorry. So you're gonna need to look at yourself. You're gonna need to look at yourself, look at the decision that you made, and really, really analyze why you made that decision. You're not gonna be pleased with what you see, trust me, because you might reveal to yourself that you made that decision out of weakness. You made that decision out of fear. You went with that person because you're afraid to be alone. You went with that person, or you jumped in that relationship because you have an issue controlling your sexual desires. Like, facing yourself is not for the weak. It's not for the weak. However, if you can overcome the fear of facing yourself, looking at what made you make that decision, it's what's going to help you to not make that mistake again in the future. Another thing that I do when I'm dealing with depression, or sadness, is that I seek out motivational tapes on YouTube. And the reason I do that is because I've realized that sometimes you need somebody else's drive to push you. You need somebody else's motivation to get you motivated. You're not going to be able to do this without counsel, without advice, without somebody else who is in a better state, or somebody else that have gone through certain things, they've experienced it, and they're now saying, hey, you know, you can do it, you can overcome this thing. So watch motivational tapes. My favorite speaker is Les Brown. You can check him out here on YouTube. It's really, really, really effective for me. I find that when I'm finished watching his videos, I feel more hopeful. I get a new perspective. You know, I start to think like my thoughts shift a little bit, and that's what you need when you're depressed. You need your thoughts to be shifted, and when your thoughts shift, your emotions will shift, because we're gonna have to use up here to control what we're feeling here. Okay, so that's another tip. Another thing that you're going to want to be mindful of if you are this person that struggles with depression is your friendships. You need to be mindful of the type of people that are in your circle. And the reason for that is that when you're going through that depressive season or episode, you're gonna need people who understand that what you're dealing with is real. And you're going to want to avoid people that say, "We are sad boy, you know I'm not for sad boy, level up yourself and just be happy." Because if you've ever been depressed, be happy is not that simple. It really isn't that simple. And a lot of times what you're going to find is that people are they're not gonna know how to talk about what you're dealing with. They're not gonna know how to have discussions around it. And sometimes you really do feel like you want somebody to talk to. And if the people that you're talking to don't even believe that depression is real, if they don't even believe that it's not so simple to just get up and just be happy, you need to be mindful about speaking with those people. And I'm not saying that you need friends that have experienced depression or struggle with depression. No, because not everybody experiences depression. Not everybody gets depressed. However, while they don't need to be depressed just like you, they need to understand. They need to know that, okay, what my friend is dealing with, it's real, it's not fake. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that you need friends that are going to help to keep you depressed. No. But you're going to need friends that if you get depressed, if you get sad, they don't switch up on you. They don't start acting funny because they take it personal. They don't start distancing themselves because, here she goes, she's sad again. I can't deal with that. If your friends are true and they know that for, you know, most of your friendship, or they know you to be jovial, encouraging, motivating, lively, when you're going through a bad season, when you're going through your sadness, they should remain they should remain the same friends, right? You know me to be better, you know me to be in a better state, you know me to be in a better place mentally and emotionally. So when I am going through something, when you are going through something, the same friendship that you had with them before when you were well, it should still be there. If your friends aren't showing up for you more when they realize that you're struggling emotionally, you may need to reevaluate those friendships. Because listen, you've always been the strong friend. You might always be the jovial friend. You may always be the fun-loving friend. But there you go, going through something and your friend is like, gone, disappear, not hear from them. That sends a strong message, because guess what? That's trying to say to you that your friendship is only going well because you're well. Your friendship is only doing good because you're good. You're not gonna always be good. So what is your friendship gonna be like when you're not good? When something happens, is that friend showing up for you more? Are they checking for you because they know that, okay, hey, he's dealing with something right now, she's dealing with something right now, and he's not always been this person that's sad and affected emotionally, but he or she is right now, and I need to be there for him or her. That's what your friendship should be. You don't need people that are going to minimize your hurt. You don't need people that are going to minimize your feelings, because what you are feeling is valid. And let me say this, the only person that will truly understand depression is a person that has suffered from depression. However, there's a thing called putting yourself in another person's shoe. There's a thing called empathy, and you don't need to experience something to feel, or, you know, to just know what empathy is like, or being empathetic towards somebody's situation that they are dealing with. So be mindful of who you're friends with. Analyze how your friendships turn when you're dealing with something, because we cannot do this alone. You cannot do this alone. We need God, but we're gonna also need God to you know, send us people, or send us someone in our corner who gets it. Okay? Another thing that I want to encourage you to do when you're dealing with depression or sadness is to rest physically. Do not underestimate the power of rest and sleep. Sometimes, like, a lot of us are like robots. We just keep going. If you have kids, like, your whole life revolves around taking care of the kids, going to work tomorrow, going to the business, figuring this out, figuring that out, and physically you are drained. And when you are drained physically, your thoughts aren't so clear. It's harder to really analyze your emotions when your body is shutting down. So take some rest. Another thing that I do that helps me is movement. Listen, when you're depressed, when you're sad, the last thing you want to do is move. You just want to lay in your bed. You want to sleep. You want to lay on the couch. You just don't want to move when you're sad. You don't want to move. But I'm going to ask you to fight against yourself, right? And what I mean by fighting against yourself is that urge that you have to stay slumped down in that sofa, that urge that you have to sleep all day from morning till night. Fight it. Fight that urge and get up. Take a walk. Move your body. There are so many benefits that the sun has, and don't get me wrong, like, it's not easy, because when you go through something, you don't want to move. Like, you just want to stay in one spot and think. But I promise you, the next time you're dealing with a depressive episode, open your door, go outside and take a walk. Sometimes I be scared to take walks because I really don't want nobody to take me away, because Jamaica's so dangerous. I'm paranoia. Ooh, it's crippling, but it has helped me before, and I know that it will help you. The sun, if you get enough sun, that even helps with your sleep, because the sun helps to produce something in your body that's called melatonin, and you need that to have proper rest, to have proper sleep at night, right? So go outside, get some sun, walk to the end of the street and come back. I promise you, you are going to feel, your body is gonna feel a little bit different. Your thoughts, you know, just inhaling that fresh air outside is gonna do something to you. I promise you. So get up, open your door, open your grill, open your gate, take a walk. It doesn't have to be a long walk. Take a 5-minute walk. Get some sun in your system and inhale some fresh air, and it's gonna help you, I promise. If you've ever had anxiety, you know how crippling anxiety can be. Like, anxiety is basically a heavy or deep worry or concern for an uncertain future, or something that you have no clue what the outcome is gonna be, and that makes you worried, that makes you nervous, that just makes you so worried. Yes, so that's pretty much what anxiety is. And I'm gonna tell you, like, I struggle with anxiety, but you know what? I realize that I struggle with anxiety most when I forget the promises of God. I forget that He promised me a bright and beautiful future. I struggle with anxiety when I start to forget that He says that I can do all things through him who strengthens me. I struggle with anxiety when I lose my footing in the word of God. That's me. I'm not saying that this is you. I'm just saying that when I've analyzed myself, when I've analyzed my thoughts, when I'm anxious about something, it's because I'm no longer meditating on the words of God. All right? Because if you really meditate on God's promises for your life, why are you worried? Why are you worried? But I understand, because guess what? No matter how much you know your Bible, no matter how much you know, say, oh, God say him have your back, God say him have your dead through the fire, through the flood, through the rain, you still get worried. I think it's human. It's human to get worried. However, what I'd encourage you to do, when you realize that you are becoming anxious about an uncertain outcome, take up your phone. We love phones. So take up your phone and Google reassuring scriptures from the Bible, or get your Bible if you have a Bible. I don't know. Just remind yourself of the things that God said about things that you don't know how they're going to turn out. Like, you don't know. You have your exams coming up and you're nervous because you failed the last one. Like, you failed the last one and you're just, you're worried. Like, your heart is beating fast. Like, when you go to lay down to sleep, all you can think about is the fact that you failed that exam. You failed your last interview. And all you can think about is the possibility of you failing again. Grab a Bible. Google if you don't have a Bible. You know, because there are tons of scriptures, there are tons of Bible verses that will remind you that you can do this. Like, girl, you can do this. Like, you are not alone, mama. But it's not easy, because in that moment, we just don't think very clear. But that is something that helps me, because, you know, we forget sometimes. Another thing that I do that helps me with anxiety is, if you Google or YouTube, preferably, if you type in your search bar relaxing music or ambient music, I think, there is some sounds that will come up that they help to calm me. So I sit and I take deep breaths while I play those relaxing background music. Jazz music, you know, night jazz music is very, 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 very relaxing for me. So I use that to help to calm my thoughts, you know, and while I'm listening, I'm taking deep breaths and I'm meditating on the fact that God said nothing is impossible. So try that. I really hope that helps you. It has helped me from time to time, and I hope it helps you. Another thing that you want to do if you're trying to come out of depression is choose healthier foods. And honestly, this is not something that every single person can do, because the truth is, healthier foods are more expensive. Like, in my experience, like, healthier food options, they just cost a little bit more than the average junk food. However, if you are in a position to choose better foods, if you are in a position to choose whole foods instead of junk and processed foods, then do that, because the foods you eat, they do, and if you do your research, you will see they play a role in how your body feels, like in whatever chemicals that are released through what you eat. They affect how you think, and then that affects your emotions. So instead of soda, water, you know, instead of a burger, try a salad with, you know, chicken breasts cut up in it, something. You know, Google Whole Foods and you'll see a ton of options. I'll probably try to put it somewhere on my screen. I don't know where, but do some research into whole foods or foods that make you happy or happier or whatever, and you'll see tons of stuff come up, because a lot of times what we eat, it's affecting how we feel, both physically and mentally. I'm telling you, I'm not lying. You'll see. So we're at the end of our video, and I just wanted to say this, none of what I'm saying is like a magic cure, and none of it is a quick fix. It takes practice and it takes time. And I genuinely believe that sometimes depression, it's a process that, like, there's nothing you can do to rush through your process. There's no button you can press that's going to fast forward you through your process. You're gonna need to go through your process, and sometimes the process in terms of dealing with an unfortunate situation is depression, right? It is sadness. I'm not saying that, oh, you're saying I should just accept being sad. No, but you should accept that, okay, this is just a process and I can't rush through it. I need to feel what I'm feeling because it's not going to last forever, and it won't. Trust me, your depression, your sadness, your anxiety will not last forever. I know it feels like that in the moment, and it's gonna feel like that. Depression will make you feel like this is your life, like you're gonna live depressed, you're gonna die depressed, and this is just how you are. No, it's not who you are, and you will overcome it. You're not gonna always be sad, you're not gonna always be anxious, you're not going to always be depressed. So don't allow your thoughts to make you think that this is a forever thing for you. It's not. There is a light at the end of your tunnel. I know you're not seeing it now, because when you look ahead of you, it's just pitch black, but it doesn't last forever. Before 2021, I had or have experienced depression, right? But it was never nothing that set in for a super long time. It was nothing, it was more like seasonal. However, 2021 for me was my hardest year emotionally. 2021 was just my hardest year emotionally, and I kid you not, I was depressed the entire 2021. The entire year, the entire 365 days, the entire year. Did I have moments of happiness? I did. I definitely did, because, you know, you'll do something fun, and for that moment, you kind of feel like you escape the depression a little bit. But when you go back home, there it is. It sets in back again. So I experienced some things throughout last year that made it a really difficult year for me. And though before 2021 I had never experienced depression for that long, these things that I'm sharing with you are things that helped me through previous years, through seasonal depression and all of that. So I really hope that the things that I've shared with you today will help you somewhat. You know, I hope it reaches somebody. I hope somebody can say, hey, I tried one of the things that you said, and you know, it helped me. It helped me with how I was feeling at that time or whatever. Like, if this video or what I'm saying, I feel like my voice sounds super weird. If this video resonates with at least one person, I'm good with that. Like, that would make me happy. So that's gonna be it for me. I wish you healing. I wish you healing on your journey. I wish you peace, and I wish you strength. I wish you strength, because we need that. It hasn't been an easy past 2 years for a lot of people. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Mwah.